Barak Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Racha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is a response. America has nothing to do with 2nd Esdras 11 or 12. And this is based off of a video Elder Pastor put up here on his channel, GMS Declaring the End. And you can see what he has on here, the title. There were actually 3 eagles. It comes up on the phone, but on the PC it doesn't show up. That's why I didn't copy that and put it on, because I didn't think it would show up on the PC. So pretty much what we're gonna do is we're gonna get into this. I'm not gonna break down the whole thing. Elder Pastor and myself, we did a breakdown on it years ago, where the apostle filled me in on certain points that I had to do the lesson on back then. The brother recently, I know other brothers have done it. The brothers out in Dallas, they did a breakdown on it. They were getting busy. They went into a lot of history. The brother Bakar Muff did a breakdown on it recently. And I just want to touch on a couple of points where certain individuals would get confused into thinking that this is speaking about America because of some of the wording in there. Just to show you that it's not talking about that. It's talking about the Roman Empire and the Roman Empire solely. Not the revival of the Roman Empire, not the little horn of the Roman Empire, not the 8th head that came from the 7, but the Roman Empire itself. And with that being said, I have here, which I didn't know there was a book written on it. This is the historian Suetonius. He wrote a book called The 12 Caesars, and this is pretty much a lot of the Roman history concerning the Caesars comes from, Suetonius. And it says, De Vita Caesarium, about the life of the Caesars, commonly known as the 12 Caesars, is a set of 12 biographies of Julius Caesar and the first 11 emperors of the Roman Empire, which are what? The 12 feathers of the Roman Empire, which the book of 2nd Esdras 11 and 12 is based upon. It says, written by Gaius Suetonius Tranquillus. The group are Julius Caesar, Augustus, Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, Nero, Galba, Otho, Vitellius, Vespasian, Titus, Domitian. And those are the 12. From Julius Caesar to Domitian, which was the final emperor of that vision. And he pretty much, after he fell, pretty much that's when Jake took over. But the common date that we use is 325 AD, because that's really when the Empire of Rome went from the ancient pagan Roman Empire to the Holy Roman Empire. Even though you had different things mixed in there that were pagan themselves, but that's when the religious aspect of the empire changed to what is commonly called the Holy Roman Empire. All right. But that's another lesson. So we're going to deal with that. So let's go real quick to the book of 2nd Esdras and the Apocryphy, as Elder King Masha would say. The 11th chapter in the first verse. Like I said, I'm going to jump around a little bit. I'm not going to do a full breakdown. You could type in, 2nd Esdras 11 and 12. And I'm pretty sure you'll find videos that Elder Pastor did, which I believe they are, if I'm not mistaken, they're on GMS Declaring the End. If you do a search, on that page, you should find it. And like I said, the brothers from Dallas did a breakdown on it, beautiful breakdown. The brother from Jersey did a breakdown, Bakar Muff. And there's tons of information out there. So it says, 2nd Esdras 11:1. Then saw I a dream, and behold, there came up from the sea. This is dealing with the Mediterranean Sea, an eagle. Now this eagle represents Rome, and you type in, I'm pretty sure anywhere you type in on Google, what was the symbol of Rome? Just bear with me 1 second. It's got to be the eagle, and there's going to be probably going to have other things, but well, they got the right. Well, they got different ones. I figured the fasci was going to be part of it. It got the she-wolf, and that's because of Romulus and Remus, which were actually Japhetic. They were brown-skinned men, Japhetic men, who the Romans took their cue from. You know, when you look at the structure of the government of Rome, they took that from the Japhetic people before them, the brown-skinned Japhetic people. All right, the she-wolf, Capitoline wolf. Then you got what? The eagle. And this is the main symbol of Rome, which is the eagle. Symbol of the Roman legion, military, so on and so forth. Then you have the fasces, which is the bundle of sticks that are tied together, you know, which pretty much is like a pluribus unum, out of many one. And pretty much this is how they rule, you know, with the hatchet head, you know, they ruled the populace with an iron fist, so to speak. And there's no coincidence that they were considered to be iron. Another one is SPQR, which this breaks down to the public and the republic. So I forget the, oh, here it goes. Senatus, which is the Senate. Populusque, which is the populace. Romanus, all right, which is the Roman populace or public. And then symbol. So really the main symbol of Rome was the eagle. All right. So that's what this is talking about. It says, which had 12 feathered wings and 3 heads. Now the 12 feathered wings and 3 heads are all part of the same thing. It just happens to be that these feathered wings pretty much, the 12 feathered wings represented the 12 Caesars, and the 3 heads represent 3 men that were a part of the 12. And even though when you first go and deal with it, the 3 heads is a representation of the triumvirate, which the word triumvirate, tri means 3, and virit is where you get the word virile from, which is men. So triumvirate literally means 3 men. And that was a rule between the 3 men, the Pompey, Crassus, and Julius. Now, Pompey and Crassus came back later, you know, as, you know, 2 of either Vespasian and one of his sons, or the 2 sons of Vespasian, because this came back later as the 3 heads. Okay, so that's the 3 heads, which is all a part of the 12. All right, so you could understand. And if you understand reincarnation, then you understand that the 12 and the 3 are all a part of the same vision, or the same people. It says, and I saw, and behold, she, meaning the eagle, Roman Empire, spread her wings over all the earth. And when people see this, over all the earth, they get confused, because they're thinking that it's talking about the whole entire planet, and it's not. What I want to do is, before we go further into it, because I'm only going to read 2 verses and then jump around, and then we'll read this again. But just to give you the wings over all the earth, is talking about just the Roman Empire and the area that they ruled. And when you look at a Roman Empire map, they pretty much had all of the port cities around the Mediterranean on lock, because that was big money. If you had a city, you know, with a port and ships coming in and out, you was making bank. All right, so let's go real quick to the book of Luke, chapter 2. And let's give you a little more understanding on when it says that she spread her wings over all the earth. Luke 2:1. And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus. This is the second head of the 12. It says that all the world should be taxed. Now, what world is this talking about? When we go here, you have the word world, that all the world should be taxed, right? All, pas, ho, oikomene. Now, the word oikomene in most cases is used as the whole entire planet, and all the inhabitants thereof. In this case, is being used as the Roman Empire world, the thing what they ruled over, because anything outside of the Roman Empire was considered barbaric. It was just considered wasteland and barbarism. They weren't established. This is why the Apostle Paul said that the city Tarsus that he was born in was a citizen of no mean city, meaning not a common city. What you had common cities, you had greater cities, but you also had barbarians in what they would call the wasteland. All right, so oikomene, which is the inhabited earth, the portion of the earth inhabited by the Greeks, in distinction from the lands of the barbarians. See, so when the Greeks conquered, if you notice, every time a nation ruled, they usually ruled the same areas or expanded on the areas that other empires ruled. All right, it says the Roman Empire, all the subjects of the empire. So in that sense, that's what it's talking about when it's talking about the whole world. Everyone that was subject to the government of the Roman Empire. And when you, as a side note, when we go back here, when it says that all the world should be taxed, this is how they set up the tax system, and this is why Jake was rebelling against the Roman Empire, because they didn't want to be taxed, because they were being heavily taxed because of the exploits of the Roman Empire, their military. It was constantly growing. And when you look up this word tax, it's not talking about just actual taxation, that the money that you would pay. It was talking about an enrollment to pay tax. When we go down here to the word taxed, the word there's apographo. Now the word apo is to send, and the word grapho is written, to send written. So it says to write off, copy from some pattern, to enter in a register or records. So all of the people of Israel were going to these different towns where they were born to register to be taxed. And who do you think was doing the registering? Those publicans. A lot of those publicans, Matthew, the apostle Matthew, he was actually a publican. So Yahweh Shai called him. It says specifically to enter in public records the names of men, their property and income, right? Because women did not own property unless their father died and they received the inheritance. But for the most part, it was men that were ruling. It was men that had businesses in their name, and they would pass it down to their sons and to their families, so on and so forth. So the men would be the ones that would have to register to pay these taxes. But then when Esau came into power during the time of America, I forget what year that was, when they started pushing out women's lib. But the women's lib was all about separation of the family, so that the women can, call for her independence, so that now, instead of there being one person in the family structure that was being taxed, now both parents are taxed. Both parents are out of the house. Both parents are working, which leaves the job of raising the children to who? To the state. So it was a straight up, blitzkrieg, a surgical strike, upon the so-called quote unquote American families. All right. So it means to enroll, just, as a little tidbit. So now that we understand that when 2 Esdras 11:2 says, and I saw, and behold, she spread her wings over all the earth, meaning the known world at the time that the Roman Empire had conquered, all of her citizens and the ones subject to the jurisdiction of the Roman Empire. That's what it's talking about, over all the earth. The known world, as they would say. And the winds of the air blew on her and were gathered together. Right, that's dealing with the nations being gathered to Rome. Because if you were anybody or any nation that was well-to-do or that was trying to do business or whatever the case may be, you had to deal with trading with Rome. Like in the movie Gladiator, you had Proximo, and then you had individuals that would travel from different parts of the empire and come from different countries to bring goods, whether it was exotic animals, whether it was slaves, whether it was certain spices or, certain, vegetation that you couldn't get in the Roman Empire. So you had to, import it from other places. This was the place to be. So that's why everybody was gathered together, because in the ancient world, Rome was the melting pot. This is the prime example of it being the model, one of the examples of being a model for the so-called American Empire today. And they follow in the same footsteps. Now what we're going to do is jump down to the 36th verse. And now you should start to really understand when it speaks about, the whole world, that is talking about the world that was governed and ruled by the Roman Empire, anyone subject to them. So let's go to the 36th verse. It says, "Then I heard a voice which said unto me, Look before thee, and consider the things that thou seest. And I beheld, and lo, as it were a roaring lion chased out of the wood." So this roaring lion is Yahushai. And this is another reason why individuals get confused and think that this is talking about America, because it speaks about Yahushai in this particular, chapter. And they're thinking about the end when Yahushai comes to visit Edom. But no, he visited them 2,000 years ago. This is why they fell 2,000 years ago. Not physically coming down like he's going to come down in this time, but we get to it. It says, "And I saw that he sent out a man's voice unto the eagle and said, Hear thou, I will talk with thee, and the highest shall say unto thee, art not thou it that remaineth of the four beasts?" Which four beasts? The four beasts that was spoken of in the book of Daniel. All right, let's go back. The book of Daniel. Let's see where we at. It says, "Whom I made to reign in my world." Yeah, because the Most High gave them a certain time and a area to rule, that the end of their times might come through them. Right, because at the end, you were going to rule for a certain period of time and then fall. But in when that part of the empire fell, this prophecy was fulfilled. But then there's other parts of prophecy, like in the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter, and in the book of Revelation 13, where it spoke about them coming back, that same beast coming back. But this has nothing to do with that. It says, "And the fourth came and overcame all the beasts that were past." Right, because the fourth, being the Roman Empire, assimilated and took the riches and the peoples and the resources of all of those empires before them. And this is why wealth is never lost. It's always transferred from one place to another. Yo, get the hell out of here. The hell out of here. It says, "And had power over the world with great fearfulness." Why? Because this was a part of their blessing, the sword. And when you go back to Daniel 7, it tells you that they had great iron teeth and they break in pieces and stamp the residue with the feet of it. They were the top force to be reckoned with at the time. "And over the whole compass of the earth with much wicked oppression." And this is why individuals get confused, because it says over the whole compass of the earth. We just read in the book of Luke 2 that the Roman world, in their capacity, ruled over the known world in the oikoumenic sense. All right, when people take over, like back then, that was the world to them. Whatever that region was, that was the world to them. This side of the world was really not talked about. Not too many people knew about it. You know, it was known, but it wasn't known like those parts. Everything else outside of the Roman Empire was considered to be wasteland, barbarian lands, you know, if they weren't down with the Roman Empire. You know, pretty much like today, America, you know, looks down upon everyone else if they're not a part of America, you know. So it goes on to say, and so long time dwelt he upon earth with deceit. For the earth hast thou not judged with truth, and they didn't. They didn't judge the earth with truth. They judged it with their penal codes, even back then during the time of the Roman Empire. This is why they taxed Jake. For thou hast afflicted the meek, which are the Israelites. Thou hast hurt the peaceable. Thou hast loved liars, and destroyed the dwellings of them that brought forth fruit, and hast cast down the walls of such as did thee no harm. Right. And that's what they did. And eventually, during 66 AD to about 74 AD, specifically in 70 AD, they brought the Israelites down completely and put an end to the Israelites ruling among themselves from that time all the way up until now. It says, therefore is thy wrongful dealing come up unto the highest, and thy pride unto the mighty. Why? Because time and chance happeneth to all men. They had their time to rule. They had their time to come up. They had the apex, you know, the pinnacle of their rulership. And then they had the years where they started falling. And eventually they had the point where they was completely taken out. Now they're coming back. But this back here had nothing to do with the now times. The highest also have looked upon the proud times. And behold, and behold, they are ended. And his abominations are fulfilled. Why? Because they were taken out, because, which we're going to get in a little while, Lord's will, they were given a certain period of time to rule, and then they would fall. All right. So it says, and therefore appear no more, thou eagle, nor thy horrible wings, nor thy wicked feathers, nor thy malicious heads, nor thy hurtful claws, nor all thy vain body, because back then they fell, and they never came back into power. Now, when America was established, they mimic a lot of the ancient Roman ways. But, you know, this prophecy that we're reading here ended right there. It was fully fulfilled once Domitian fell. All right. That was the end of it. That all the earth may be refreshed. Right. Because they no longer were you able to put that iron grip on the people that you had, and may return being delivered from thy violence, and that she may hope for the judgment of and mercy of him that made her. Yeah. People would be back to peace for a period of time, but they didn't understand, as in the other prophecies, that this devil will come back. So now when we go to the next chapter, 2nd Esdras chapter 12, we're going to read the first 3 verses and jump around. And it came to pass, whilst the lion spake these words unto the eagle, I saw, and behold, the head that remained, and the 4 wings appeared no more. Right, the head that remained was dealing with Vespasian. He was the major head of the 3. His 2 sons being the other 2. So the triumvirate during this time were them 3, which came back. Right now, the 4 wings is the year of the 4 emperors, dealing with 69 AD. And the reason why I said 4 is because there were actually 4. When you type in year of the 4 emperors, you're going to get, matter of fact, when we go here, year of the 4 emperors. There you go. Year of the 4 emperors. It says the year of the 4 emperors, AD 69. And it gives you a list of all 4 of them, was the first civil war of the Roman Empire. Yeah, because Vespasian himself was not really Caesar material. He was an actual general, and that's what he was good at. But he happened to take down these other 3 individuals that set themselves up, and he became the ultimate emperor at that time. It says, during which 4 emperors ruled in succession: Galba, Otho, Vitellius, Vespasian. And Vespasian was the one that got rid of the other 3. So no longer was it 4, it was just 1. It is considered an important interval marking the transition from the Julio-Claudians, the first imperial dynasty, to the Flavian dynasty. The period witnessed several rebellions and claimants, with shifting allegiance and widespread turmoil in Rome and the provinces. Right, and this is important to know here because this is a part of the prophecy. That's why there was all this turmoil and chaos and things going on, civil wars. Then you had rebellions from Jake, that were rebelling against, the Roman Empire and their heavy taxation upon our people. There's a term for the taxation of the Jews. I can't remember the actual term. Elder Pastor had gone into it not too long ago. And I'm sure he's mentioned it before, but it's so much information, that sometimes you can't remember every little detail. But I know there was I believe it was a Latin term, excuse me, that was used for the taxation of Jake back then, the Jews. All right, so there you have it. So when we go back, and behold, the head that remained and the 4 wings appeared no more. And the 2 went unto it and set themselves up to reign, which is dealing with the 2 after him. You had Vespasian, which was the first. Then you had Domitian, which was the second, and then you had Titus, which was the second, and Domitian, which was the third. And they were known as the Flavian dynasty. All right, which, as a little tidbit, the word Flavian means yellow. It says that's Latin for yellow. And the 2 went unto it and set themselves up to reign, and their kingdom was small and full of uproar. And we just read about when the 4 emperors, or the year of the 4 emperors, there was total turmoil in Rome and the provinces, based off of what the prophecy said. And I saw, and behold, they appeared no more. Why? Because once they fell, that was the end of the 12 feathers. The 12 feathers, the 8 under feathers, the 3, all a part of the same thing. It was just chopped up. It was 12, and it was chopped up into different, parts, so you could understand. And the whole body of the eagle was burnt, so that the earth was in great fear, meaning they fell completely. Not that they were actually burned by fire, even though you did have, wars from Jake taking over, and then you had the barbarians, that they call barbarians, Germanic tribes that came and gave Rome holy hell. It says, then awaked I out of the trouble and trance of my mind, and from great fear, and said unto my spirit, you could read the rest. We're going to jump down to the 10th verse. It says, and he said unto me, this is the interpretation of the vision. The eagle, whom thou sawest come up from the sea, is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of thy brother Daniel. And any serious scholar knows that the 4 beasts, the 4th one is the Roman Empire. And this is what the Lord, the angel is showing. Oh, the water, brother. There you go. There you go. Fiscus Judaicus, or Judaicus, right? Jewish text. The water, brother. The water. That's what I'm talking about, man. All right, so let's read that again. The eagle that thou sawest come up from the sea is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of thy brother Daniel. But it was not expounded unto him, therefore I declare it unto thee. Right, because Daniel didn't understand what this meant. He just wrote what the Lord gave him to write. But the Lord revealed what it meant to Esdras. And a lot of times prophecies are not really understood until they're being fulfilled. So it says, behold, the days will come that there shall rise up a kingdom upon earth, and it shall be feared above all the kingdoms that were before it. And that's what we read in Daniel 7. I believe it starts at either the 6th or the 7th verse when it speaks about the 4th beast. In the same shall 12 kings reign, one after another. And we just read that. We just read about that here. I'm sorry, that was the year of the 4 emperors here. The book called the 12th Caesar, and it gave you Julius Caesar first, and the 11 other emperors after, whether they're called Caesars or what, because, some individuals that speak on this, they get mad when you call certain individuals emperors because, well, that term didn't come till later. It don't matter. Emperor, Caesar, same shit. King, ruler. You get some people that are real anal about shit, So anyways, here go the 12. Julius, Caesar, Augustus, Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, Nero, Galba, Otho, Vitellius, Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian. Vespasian, Titus, Domitian, this is the Flavian dynasty. Galba, Otho, Vitellius, and Vespasian, these were the year of the 4 emperors in 69 AD, when Vespasian took the throne, so to speak. All right. So now let's jump down. Let me see what else we got. 31. And the lion whom thou sawest rising up out of the wood and roaring and speaking to the eagle and rebuking her for her unrighteousness with all the words which thou hast heard, this is the anointed, which is Yahushua, which the highest hath kept for them and for their wickedness unto the end. He shall reprove them and shall upbraid them with their cruelty. So how did Yahushua accomplish this? Because we know that when Yahushua comes back, and this time he's coming to take Esau down, but that's going to be by fire. I am come to send fire on the earth, and what will I if it be already kindled? So now how was this accomplished? How did Yahushua accomplish this without physically coming here and destroying them, as he is going to do when he comes back? Well, for that, we have to go to Revelation chapter 20 and verse 1. And it says, and I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. This angel is Yahushua. Now, before we read any more, let's go to the book of Revelation 1. You could read the whole chapter. From the 13th verse, this is all speaking about Yahushua. When we jump to the 18th verse, it says, I am he that liveth, this Yahushua speaking, and was dead, because he was raised from the dead. And behold, I am alive forevermore. Amen. And have the keys of hell and of death. Right, because he can raise you up, or he can put you down. So this is the angel that had the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain. And what was that great chain? That great chain was pretty much, for lack of better words, having a dark cloud over these Edomite Romans, as they were called at the time, for them not to be able to establish, deceive, or do anything for a period of 1,000 years. To what? Fulfill prophecy. So it says, and he laid hold on the dragon, which is Esau, the Roman Empire back then, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. So it was Yahushua that bound these devils for that 1,000-year period. The Most High gave everything under. Once Yahushua died on the cross and was resurrected by the Father gave everything into his hands. So now everything is in his hands. He's doing everything. The only thing he can't do is come down and take these devils down, because he don't know what day it is. He got to wait for the Father to give him that. But everything else is put under him. And everything obeys him, except for the Father, and the Father agrees with Yahushua, It says, and cast him into the bottomless pit, which was Europe, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him. See, and what was that seal? That was that dark cloud where they were not able to, no matter what they did, no matter what they tried to plot, what they tried to plan, it was not getting off the ground. It's like now, when you think about things in your life that you try to accomplish, and even now in the truth, you try to do certain things, and it's like everything that you're trying to do to accomplish that thing is nothing is going through. It's not happening. You go this way, they got you. You go that way, they got you. You come any other way, they'll drop a dime on you. Inside joke. But no matter what you do, you can't get from around them curses. So this is pretty much what the Lord did. He set a seal upon these devils for that 1,000-year period, to where they were not able to do shit. And automatically after that 1,000-year sentence is expired, then when that seal was pulled away, that's when they were able to maneuver and move and do what they did, which is called the Renaissance period. And we see what they've accomplished on the earth. So they were wicked as the Romans. So how much more now as a new revived Roman Empire? So it says that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. And we're witnessing that little season from the mid 1300s around there or so, all the way until today. You know? So it's going down. All right. It says, let's see what else we got here. It says, for he shall set them before him alive in judgment, and shall rebuke them and correct them. Yeah, so that's what Yahushua did. You know, he brought them down 2,000 years ago. He didn't physically come down here, so you could understand. This was a spiritual thing that happened, and this is why they fell. This is why certain individuals took them down. All right, because as you read further down in here, for the rest of my people shall he deliver with mercy. Yeah, because those that heard the message that Yahushua gave them at least 30 some odd years prior to 70 AD happening, what they do? They fled from Roman persecution. So what did they do? They received mercy. Those that have been pressed upon my borders, right? Because they were pressed hard. And the greater the empire grew, the more the military they needed, the more money they needed. So the more taxation that they were putting on the people. So they were heavily stressed back then on this taxation. And that's where you had a lot of rebels, you know, coming up. The zealots coming up and doing what they did. It was all prophecy. And he shall make them joyful until the coming of the day of judgment. Right, because that was not the day of judgment. That was just the day when that particular empire fell. All right, the day the music died. Inside joke. It says, whereof I have spoken unto thee from the beginning. Right. So when these went down, the Roman Empire went down, some of the Israelites escaped, and they received, you know, mercy, and they were joyful to get the hell away from there until the coming of the day of judgment, because that wouldn't happen till later on. So now when we jump down, I just wanted to make a point in this right here. Let's see, offended for prophets, the only left. Okay, it's got to be around here. Or maybe it's a little further up. Right here, 26th verse. And whereas thou sawest that the great head, this is dealing with Vespasian, appeared no more, it signified that one of them shall die upon his bed, and yet with pain. Yeah, because I forget the area he was at, Vespasian, but he got sick and he actually died, you know. And as he was laying in the bed dying, he said, you know, within himself that this is no way for an emperor to die or something like that. So he tried to get up out of his bed, and the people that were helping him, he pretty much died in their arms. So he wasn't able to really fully get out of bed. So he died. It says that for the two that remain shall be slain with the sword. Now the two that remain, which was Titus and Domitian. Now Titus, he was about 41 years old when he died. Now the Babylonian Talmud, the tradition is that, you heard Apostle Tar mention it, that a bug went up his nose and he caught like an infection and some kind of growth and he died. But here it says that the sword, he would be slain by the sword. And there are other documentations that say that his brother poisoned him. When you do the research, his brother poisoned him. So the Babylonian Talmud, the tradition was that a bug flew up his nose and caused an infection and a growth, and that's how he died. But the other accounts say that his brother poisoned him, and this is how he died, so that his brother can take over. So it says that when that would happen, the other would be also slain with the sword. And Domitian was put to death by the what was it, the guards? Let me see. How did Domitian die? There we go. It says Domitian's reign came to an end in 96 when he was assassinated by court officials. See? So he was actually put to death by the sword because he killed his brother with poison, which pretty much that's like killing somebody by the sword. All right? Who? Yeah, brother, we know that, but this is not this. We're not talking about the 10 tribes right now. We're talking about the Roman Empire. So these comments are, although it's good, thank you for putting it up. If brothers want to get, copy that information, that's beautiful. But we're not talking about the 10 tribes right now, bro. We're talking about, the Roman Empire, 2nd Esdras 11th chapter and the 12th chapter. But the water, the water for the information. There's all kind of books on it. But these are things we know. But I know, brothers are zealous and they're happy that, to learn the truth. So they want to share what they got. So I'm not upset with the brother, but just, it's not in season, but it's all good. All right. So pretty much that was it on that. It says, for the sword of the one shall devour the other. Right. So according to the prophecy, it would make sense for Domitian to poison his brother and for Domitian to be taken out by the court guards. It says, but at the last shall he fall through the sword himself. And that's what took place, because there was a lot of corruption and a lot of times those Caesars became obsessed, and they would pretty much become tyrannical, like Yum Yum, inside joke. And then they would be assassinated, because they were getting beside themselves. So pretty much, that was just my take, my response to America has nothing to do with the 12, or 2nd Esdras 11 or 12, and Bishop Nathaniel, he did run well, but then he stopped. He went totally off because he said the three heads was the Vatican, America, and Britain. That's totally off, man. Totally off. As Apostle Tar said, I was rooting for you, man. I was trying to, say something, but he took a left at Albuquerque and he never got back on track. All right. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. To the next time I say, Shalom.